Hello everybody, this is Tiffany from Dragonflyer Studios. I hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day. I am here playing around in the studio with some things that I had come across in my yard sale and what's the word I'm looking for? Thrift store shopping and whatnot. So I'm sure you guys have seen these with summer coming to an end. If you've got kids at home, summer camps, vacation Bible schools and such, you've probably seen them bring home a tie-dyed t-shirt once or twice. So what I have here is the leftovers of a tie-dyed kit that are just basically going to go to waste. You're supposed to, I guess, dump these out whenever you're done. I don't know where the kit came from. Like I said, they're leftovers. They were mixed up and then the kids didn't use them. So I took them home and I was like, I wonder what I could do with those. So I've been playing around with them, and what I've done is I've kept some in the dripper bottles here, like what you would put on the fabric. And then what I've also done is I've just got these little, I don't know if they're 2 ounce, 3 ounce, whatever, spray bottles that I poured some of the liquid into. And it's just water and the powdered dye that comes in the kit, but this gives me the ability to spray it where I want it to go. So I just took, not necessarily all of these colors, because like there's like 2 reds and 2 pinks and 2 oranges and whatever. I just made bottles up from what the bottles that I had. So I basically have all of these beautiful colors. This one is green. This one is it's either dark green and light green or light green and dark green. I couldn't tell you which because to me it doesn't matter. I just start spraying, and that's kind of the fun. Now, I don't wear gloves. As you can see, I've been playing, and true to its nature, tie-dye will dye your skin. So, if you are allergic to anything, anything like that, please put on some latex gloves, rubber gloves, whatever you need to use to protect your skin, because this stuff, even in the spray bottles, wiping stencils off and things of that nature, it's going to get on your hands. So I don't want anybody to suffer because of their art. So I'm going to just show you a couple of things that I've been playing around with and making, and then I'm going to show you how to get there. So this is just some yellow parchment paper, cardstock thickness, that I just laid down in my sprayer box and I just went to town. And it's got some interesting qualities to it. It did wrinkle the paper because they are water-based dyes, and these aren't completely dry. They're dry enough to be stacked on top of each other without the dye bleeding, but the paper itself is still just a little bit damp. So there's that. And then I brought out my stencils, and look at this guy. He turned out beautiful. That is just the darkest blue that's over there, just sprayed down through the stencil, and it turned out so pretty. I don't know if you can tell the granular texture. So I took it, lifted the stencil off, and when I lifted the stencil off, I flipped the stencil over and pressed it down onto another piece of paper to dry it off. And then I came back with one of the orange colors, and it turned out more coral in nature than a vibrant orange. But that's another stencil that I have. So these are either going to turn into pages in a journal or embellishments of some sort. I'm not sure, but I did the same thing there. So I pressed it down on the paper and then I flipped it over, and I did that on both the same page, and look at what I got as a mix-up. So this is really, really pretty. I think I'm going to try and probably turn this into the cover of a journal. I think that would be very, very pretty. So we'll see what happens. So without further ado, I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna take it out of my crane holder. So the video is gonna get a little bit bumpy, but I've got to move over to my spray station where I spray these colors. And I can't do it. I just don't do it up here on the table because my wall behind here would get all stained with overspray and whatnot. And so I have a station that I've created for myself where all the spray that doesn't land on the paper doesn't go on the carpet or me or the walls or the dog or anything else like that. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to swing it over to my spray station. All right, I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, so here is my spray station. It's super high tech, as you can tell. There's my doggo off in the background. There's Atlas right there. Hi Atlas, what are you doing, buddy? This is your camera debut. Hey bud, what's up? He's like, what's going on, Mom? So this is just a Rubbermaid container that I have set on top of my trash can. But the edges and the walls of it are high enough that it keeps the overspray from this little guy from getting everywhere. So I've just put down my parchment paper and a stencil over the top of it. And I'm going to try not to shake the camera too much, also while keeping it on frame. And then I'm just using a green, and I'm just going to spray through all of the stencil. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a minute. I'm going to put the lid back on my sprayer. Sorry for the jiggly camera, but we are watching as the process happens. So, you know, the camera. Okay, so I'm going to pause it again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel this stencil off of this piece of paper very gently, and I'm going to bring it over to that way. I'm going to bring it back over to my table, and I'll show you what happens when we flip it onto a piece of white paper. So the parchment paper is yellow that's underneath it there, or at least it has a yellow treatment on it. So give me just a second, and we'll go back to the table. Hold on. Okay, so we're back at the table. So bear with me. I'm going to bring the stencil over and flip it upside down onto the piece of paper that y'all can see. Okay. So here we go. If it drips, it drips. This is not the most precise and or delicate process. I'm just kind of tapping it to let that water and dye soak into the paper underneath. So yeah. I love that the liquid stays with the plastic. Like, it doesn't really have a tendency to bleed through. It's a nifty side effect of how these stencils are created. So, alright, so we're going to let that sit for just a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over the piece of paper that we sprayed. And this is what came of that. Now, this is wet. I'll put it on my drying rack and let it dry, you know, until I know that the color's not going to run, because it's still, you can still tell it's quite wet. But look at the detail from the stencil. Like, nothing bled through. It's so pretty. It's a really nice effect. So if you have some stencils laying around, I don't know if food coloring would work the same as the tie-dye. I mean, it's all water-based, all water-soluble. So I can't imagine why it would do any differently. But if you've got some old arts and crafts supplies sitting around for another craft, whip them out for your junk journaling and see what happens. Okay, so here we go. Here's what this one's going to look like. Oh, wow. Look at that. So then I'm just going to pull out a handy wipe, a little baby wipe, and I'm just going to wipe off the ink from my stencils. My stencils get pretty grimy pretty quickly, so if I don't clean them off, it just exacerbates that problem to no end. Oh, sorry. Don't need to do that on camera. I'm sure y'all know how to wipe down a stencil. So yeah, I just wipe the green off just to kind of keep them as dye free as possible. But it's got a very vibrant effect going on it. Does it translate well on the camera? I'm always worried these lights don't do it justice. So we could stencil another one. The flower didn't come out right here, but that's okay. We could stencil another one and lay it over it very much like I did this one, or we could just leave it as this and embellish it accordingly, which I think I'm going to do because I really like the way that it turned out. So there you go. The possibilities are endless when you're doing stuff like this. So the other thing that I wanted to show you, besides the tie-dye inks and the different things that you could do with those, here, I'll put these, oh, hold on, got some ink running away on my table. Just give it a little scrubby scrub. I've been busy today. Been busy playing and doing and creating. It's Sunday here, so that's my day to be me and to have fun with me. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have some fun with these guys. These are new stencils that I just got, and I thought I would show y'all how to play with stencils and modeling paste. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this used or put into effect. I don't know what its exact purpose. I don't know what modeling paste is supposed to be used for. I just know what modeling paste is used for in my studio. And modeling paste is used in my studio. I don't know if you can see this or not. It's probably not going to translate very well. But if I turn this paper, you can see that those things right there stick up off of it. So this, you can hear it. Yeah. They stick up off. They're raised. They're not embossed, so like the back side is flat. But they're the thickness of the stencil that I used. And you may have seen this done in other places. I just wanted to do a short video. I wanted to include it on this video as far as use with stencils, because there's so many different ways to get so many different looks on your papers to give you backgrounds or different things that you could potentially embellish on or whatnot. So what I'm going to be using is I keep little ramekins like this for mixing paints and waters and things of that nature in my studio. I've got my modeling paste here. It's Master's Touch. I promise you I did not pay $12.99 for it. I got this at some flea market or something. I've got a painter's knife, and then for my dyeing, I use alcohol ink. If you don't have these, regular acrylic paint can be added to modeling paint to tint it. Now I am using black. It's going to come out gray because modeling paste is white. If you don't want modeling paste, apparently it is expensive because that price tag says $12.99. Drywall compound will work just the same, and I don't know what the cost of things right now, where that would be, because it is considered a construction material, but you can buy little tubs of it. You don't have to get a huge old bucket, and you can use drywall compound. Drywall compound does dry a little bit quicker than this stuff when you're working with it, so keep that in mind. So all I'm going to do is, I'm just going to open this up. I'm just careful with the alcohol ink because it stains like nothing else. I'm going to add 3 or 4 drops to this, and then quickly put my lid back on it because alcohol inks do evaporate pretty quickly. And then I'm just going to mix this up, and you'll see it's going to start to turn more gray than black because of the white modeling paste. And it doesn't take very much, so don't think that you got, I mean, unless you're just going to do a whole lot of these at once, and then by all means go to town. But for what I'm about to do, a little of this will go a long way. Okay, there we have it. I try to get a pretty even consistency, but I suppose if you wanted to leave it a little marbled, that would be a rather cool effect too. So I'm going to use, I've got this parchment paper I'm trying to find a use for. So that's what we're going with. I'm going to use this parchment paper, and all I'm going to do is, oh no, don't fall over, is I've got this tree stencil. Everybody can see the outline. It's just trees. These are 2 new stencils that I purchased. I thought I'd give them a try. So I'm going to position this pretty evenly, mostly because I want to come back with the cedars, or if nothing else, I'm going to try and preserve the rest of that paper. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move that in a little bit. It is going to get a little messy up in here. So I'm just going to tape this down so my stencil doesn't move on me once I start spackling it. And this is just some washi tape. Any old washi tape would do. I have a roll of painter's tape here. I just for some reason can't seem to find it. It's amazing how that happens. So I'm just going to put a little modeling paste on my painter's knife, If you don't have a painter's knife, a regular putty knife will do just fine. You just need something flexible that's going to allow you to smear down into that stencil. And this is very therapeutic too. The feeling of the modeling paste pushing down into that stencil and then the scraping off of excess modeling paste. It's very nice. I feel like I should have nature music playing in the background. But instead you get the hum of the AC unit because I'm in Texas and it's hot. Sorry. That's your white noise for this evening. The Sounds of the AC Unit by Tiffany Grant. And I'm just looking for the yellow spots that come through on the stencil. Just lets me know that I've missed that piece. Alright, and there we have that. Now the great thing about modeling paste is if you let it dry, it will either chip off pretty easily or the cleanup with it is just soap and water. So my stencil, my palette knife, my little mixing bowl right there, I will set them aside. I will let them dry with any excess material that I have on it. And then usually with the bowl, I can just scrape it out. And the stencil, I just let soak in some hot water. And the modeling paste comes right off. Alright, so now all we do is just gingerly pull the stencil away. And you're left with this fabulously raised stencil. I know you're not going to be able to see the raised part on there, but it sticks up off the paper just a little bit. It's just a fraction of an inch, but it's a really cool, once it all dries, it's a really cool texture. You can go back in and hit this with a little bit of watercolor and darken the branches in. You can rub a stamp over it, and I suppose if you had a thick enough stencil, you could probably turn this into some sort of stamp, but once this is dry and you bend this, it's going to crackle and potentially fall off. So maybe not durable for a stamp, but I just think it's a unique way to add some texture and some differentiation to a page or an embellishment. I plan on turning this into a journaling card. I'm probably going to cut it in half and turn it into a journaling card. It was the intent that I had when I bought the stencil the first time. So now we have my little cedar trees here, and I think I'm going to do those against a white background. Hold on, let me get a piece of cardstock. I think I'm going to do these against a white background, and I'm going to see if I can't make that modeling paste just a little bit darker. Whoa, 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 calm down. Everybody's just jumping out everywhere. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're only at 18 minutes. So, thought I'd do a little bonus video. I missed my Saturday deadline yesterday, so that video got posted earlier today. And it's going to get a little darker, but it's not necessarily going to be anywhere close to the black that I really had wanted. I was hoping for silhouettes of these trees, just for a project that I have kind of mulling around in the back of my mind. But this will do just fine. Oh, wait, hold on. Before I get started, I am going to kind of center this because, like I said, these in particular I have an idea for. So I kind of want them to have a white border around their edge. Okay, there we go. So now got our paste, and away we go. And you can start to tell when your modeling paste has either been overworked or is starting to dry out and it's going to start sticking to your knife more than it wants to stick to your stencil, and that's when it starts to get the bubbles on the surface. So like grouting tile. I don't know if you've ever grouted tile or not, but those of you that have, you'll know the experience. It's very cathartic. Okay. So I just have a tiny bit left, and I might grab a stencil that I have handy and run that over it. Just, I don't like to waste stuff. Oh, come on now. Your washi tape, you're supposed to come off there easily. And that's usually why I have painter's tape hanging around, but for some reason I can't find it. It's probably in the bottom of a bin. I cleaned up, put it in a bin, and forgot where it was at. This is what happens when you have no fingernails either. There we go. Alright, well, come on now. There we go. Alright. So let me just peel and reveal. And that turned out way, way better than I thought it would. Look at that. So yeah. Cedar trees against a gray sky. That's really pretty. And it's raised off the, you'll be able to feel the trees, so to speak. So yeah, that one turned out really good. Let's see if I can find, and as it starts to dry, the modeling paste, even with the, oh look, I've got bubbles. What if we used bubbles? I'm just going to hold this one in place. Got no time to paste it down or tape it down. That's what happens when you craft on the fly. Oh, go get him, Atlas. My ever faithful guard dog is on duty. He's woofing at something outside. I mean, he usually woofs at a lot of things outside, but alright, there we go. So that's all the modeling paste that I have really left over, and I'm okay if that ends up going into the trash. And there you have that. That's actually really cool. That's a new stencil too that I cut up and cut out. So yeah, there's some little bubbles, and I don't even know what to call those, but I'm going with bubbles. So yeah. So there you have it. So there's two different ways to treat your paper and use crafting materials like the tie-dye inks or your modeling paste. If anybody knows what modeling paste is actually supposed to be used for, I'm guessing probably model airplanes and or model cars. I don't know. I guess it would probably make a good body filler. Let's see, does it say on the back? Mix with acrylic paint to thicken and brighten color while retaining tinting, strength, and extension. To prevent cracking, do not apply to oil-based surface. Store at room temperature. So no. Absolutely no information. So yeah, if you know what that stuff's actually supposed to be used for, because I googled it and it just kept coming up with definitions of what it was, not necessarily what its applications could be for. So whether it's old tie-dye inks, modeling pastes, you know, if you go to a craft store at any point in time, walk through all the different departments. You don't necessarily have to buy what's in there, but keep an eye out for things that could be used for other stuff. So this has been really good. I really like using this. I usually will sit down and mix up a bunch of it and do a bunch of stencils or texturized papers with it or whatnot, so that I have them on hand. And like I said, I've gotten some new stencils that I wanted to play around with, and so I figured, hey, why not let everybody see them as they come to fruition. So that's that modeling paste on my finger, and as you can see, it wipes off. It was dry, so it's pretty good, easy cleanup. Wear gloves if you don't want your fingers stained 47 different colors. But otherwise, I just wanted to share my creations with you. So if you're new, thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. My channel is growing very slowly, but I'm okay with that. I'm not looking to be YouTube famous or anything. I just like doing this stuff. And so yeah, but hit that subscribe button and you'll see future content come out. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for tuning in and watching me again. I really appreciate you guys. This is Tiffany from Dragonflower Studios. Until next time, bye.